It has been said that Skyrim itself is more dangerous than any man, mer, giant, or saber cat within her borders. Any who have felt the biting chill of the Pale, or seen the frozen corpses upon the steps of High Hrothgar, can attest to this. It takes the souls of the foolhardy, brave, astute, and unprepared with equal enthusiastic swiftness. My aim is to provide you with guidance on surviving the trials of Skyrim's harshest regions. My hope is that you, dear reader, will avoid the fate of those mentioned above. Wisdom is your only weapon against the cold, so arm yourself with it on the following pages. Even with this knowledge, however, I cannot guarantee your safety. One can only be so prepared. If such a guarantee was made by the merchant who sold you this book, you have my sincerest apology. Now, without any further deviation, let us discuss the subject at hand. The cold road ahead. Cold is the enemy. It is as dangerous as a seasoned fighter with a honed blade and a score to settle. It is an insidious enemy, sweeping into your bones, your mind, robbing you of the very will to survive. But like any enemy, it can be defended against. You must adapt to defeat it. If cold is an agent of darkness and death, life is the sentinel of light and life. A fire gives many gifts, chief of which are warmth and dry skin. The act of building a campfire should become second nature to you, as routine as putting on your boots. Build campfires early and often, and seek out wood far in advance of when you think you'll need it. It may take several hours to find enough wood to build a campfire of a useful size. If caught in a blizzard or after falling in a frozen lake, that's several hours you do not have to spare. Fire is a friend, but a hungry one. When preparing to travel, the first thing to address is your attire. Wearing warm clothing from head to toe is the single most important thing you can do to ensure your survival. Each part of your body that you leave exposed makes it increasingly difficult to stay warm and dry. You may think yourself safe in the southern holds, but getting soaked in a rainstorm can easily sap the heat from your body. There are many ways to improve your resistance to exposure. Your body will grow more accustomed to Skyrim's climate in time. It will happen slowly and naturally, and only for those who live long enough to discover that a change has taken place. A torch can be very beneficial, warming the arms and face. A cloak can help act as another helpful barrier against frost and rain. Soups can warm from the inside out. Finally, trinkets which grant a magical resistance to frost provide aid to their wearers. There is no single way to prepare for a cold journey, but all of these things together will keep you on this side of the eternal. Surviving frozen waters. Sometimes, even after having done one's best to be careful near Skyrim's treacherously frigid bodies of water, disaster can strike. A loose rock results in lost footing, or a fragile plate of ice on a frozen lake goes unnoticed. Suddenly you are submerged head to toe in water only barely above freezing. The body will go through a series of responses that may be shocking to the uninitiated. By reviewing what will happen should this occur, one can mentally prepare for the occasion. With a strong will and some luck, one may even live to tell about it. First, your body will involuntarily gasp deeply for air. When this happens, you will feel paradoxically as if the wind has been knocked out of you, unable to catch your breath. You will feel completely without any stamina for physical exertion, and your eyes may have trouble focusing. Next, assuming you have not breathed in a lungful of water, you should have regained enough of your senses to be able to find a way back on shore. This is a narrow window of opportunity, do not waste it. After getting out of the water, it is imperative that you make camp or retreat to the nearest warm shelter immediately, as your body has already become dangerously cold. Many have saved themselves from a watery death only to die on land minutes later. If, for some reason, you are unable to bring yourself to shore quickly enough, you will find your limbs difficult to move until they become so numb that they stop responding entirely. Drowning at this point is the most likely outcome. Gear for the journey. The right skills, a positive mindset, a few supplies. With each of these things you bring with you, you improve your chances of overcoming any obstacle you may face while on the trail. It all starts with a simple axe. A woodcutter's axe is by far the most essential tool you can carry. With it you can gather firewood from nearby trees quickly and easily. Keep it sharp. An axe that is not cared for properly is a sure way to invite disaster. If an axe is unavailable, a crude stone hatchet may be assembled. While looking for dead twigs and branches, you may come across a dense, flat stone that can be sharpened to an edge. Find the sturdiest branch you can and tie or hammer the stone to the branch. Unfortunately, the chances of chopping enough firewood to build a campfire with something as rudimentary as this is slim. If firewood is already available, you may opt to create arrowheads from this stone instead. While the most obvious use for firewood is for building a crackling fire, there are other useful supplies that can be created with any spare pieces you may have left. A bow for hunting game, a simple walking stick, a rack for tanning leather. All of these can be created from basic firewood. With a tent you can outlast freezing rain and blizzards in the open country. A campfire is of limited usefulness when you remain exposed to the elements. When travelling in the southern holes, where the air is warmer and rain comes frequent, a leather tent will keep you dry while blocking the mild night chill. If venturing out to the north, a tent made of animal hides is more suitable. These tents trap heat much more effectively, but are prone to leaking in rainstorms. If caught in a rainstorm when no tent is available, take shelter under the nearest suitable structure and wait for it to pass. A cloak, like a tent, serves the dual purpose of keeping you warm and dry. Cloaks can be tailored from a variety of materials. Burlap, while better than nothing, should be avoided. Linen makes for a good all-weather general purpose cloak and soaks up very little. Hide is excellent at repelling rain. Fur is great for keeping warm, but soaks up large amounts of water and should be removed to speed up the drying process when caught in a rain shower. A small cooking pot made of steel can help you cook hot meals while on the road, far from the nearest hearth. Finally, a properly constructed backpack can do wonders for helping you haul your belongings over vast distances without straining your neck and back. A good backpack should have space for stowing everything you need with some room to spare. Food and brew. Not all foods are created equal. Some are much better suited to helping the body cope with travelling in the cold. In general, hot soups, stews and broths should be consumed when travelling long distances across cold terrain. They provide warmth from within, which helps prevent the loss of warmth from without. Snowberries, a common sight in northern holes, have also been rumoured to aid in fending off the cold. Travellers in the northern lands swear by them, even though there is no alchemical proof one way or the other. Whether this small fruit actually provide a real boon, or is just a trick of the mind, I leave the reader to decide. A special note about every Nor's favourite topic, brew. While one may be quick to believe that ale and mead bring fire to the belly, many who turn to stiff drinks in order to avoid an icy death only hasten it at its end. That being said, mental and physical toughness may play equal roles in your survival. A quick swig of ale might be exactly what you need to give you the determination to make a last push to safety. This is a choice you'll have to make for yourself when the time comes. Skyrim and its environs. Skyrim is a nation divided into territories known as holds. Each hold has unique environmental characteristics that aid and hinder those who travel through them. They are presented here in order of increasing harshness and unpredictability. Falkreath Hold. The area surrounding Falkreath is a temperate evergreen forest with relative warmth and refreshing waters. Days are comfortable even at sun's height, and nights are mild enough that one is wont to go stargazing when the sky is clear. This hold is truly the most hospitable in all of Skyrim. Eastmarch. While Eastmarch is cooler than Falkreath due to being farther north, this hold is lined with volcanic fissures that discharge great plumes of hot steam that keep the area warm enough to occupy without pause day or night all year round. The Rift. This hold is home to a sprawling broadleaf mixed forest in Skyrim's southeast. Though it is positioned on Skyrim's southern border, its elevation, tree canopy and humidity make this area much cooler than it may first appear. While on a clear day in the Rift is almost as nice as Falkreath, the rain with high winds can sap a warrior's strength faster than he cares to admit. The Rift's many streams and lakes are pleasurable to swim in on sunny days. The Reach. The hold of Markarth sits along Skyrim's western border. It is identified by a great river that runs through a deep sheer valley. The winds that roll off the western mountains and into the valley are chilly most. The night air combined with cold showers may prompt wise travellers to build a campfire or seek shelter. The Reach's waters are quite cold, but should not pose a threat if one is diligent enough to dry off before the affair is over, once the affair is over with, shall I say. Whiterun Hold. The heart of Skyrim is a cold tundra dotted by what few trees can manage to take root through the permafrost. Farmers toil tirelessly here to break ground and grow what little they can in the inches of soil afforded. Foreigners may find this area to be uncomfortably cold during the day, nothing a sturdy pair of boots and gloves can't remedy. At night, the high winds across the open plains cut through fabric and flesh. It never snows in Whiterun, contrary to its name, but the ground remains cold enough to freeze rain the moment it strikes the earth. Whiterun's chilly brooks are usually shallow enough to not worry of becoming. Fjalmarch. The tundra marshlands of Fjalmarch are inhospitable to the unprepared. The ground is almost entirely permafrost, and the northern bogs have waters that remain at or below the freezing point. Set up camp early and do not stray far from it. If night or dark clouds approach, build or seek shelter at once. Never attempt to swim in the waters here. Always find a land bridge or way around. The Pale and Mountains. The frozen wastes of the Pale are life-threatening even under the best of circumstances. Make camp often, avoid nightfall outdoors. If a blizzard strikes, you are in grave danger and your survival is measured in minutes. Seek shelter immediately. Better to be a living cave rat than a dead hero. The sheer winds and breath-freezing air of the mountains will push your endurance to its limits and beyond. Needless to say, the Sea of Ghosts lives up to its name. The same goes for the icy rivers that run east and south of Windhelm. The great port city of Winterhold has an inn with a roaring hearth on almost every street, ready to thaw the bones of weary travellers. Spells. It is reasonable to believe that keeping oneself warm with fire spells should be easy, since spells of flame are amongst the first any student of the Destruction School learns. This is perhaps confusingly not so. As any destruction mages know, one cannot harm themselves with their own spells. In fact, one cannot affect themselves in any way using elemental destruction magic. This includes the use of fire-based magicka to warm up in place of a real fire. There are known to be certain spells that can help fend off the cold, conjure shelters from thin air, and even reduce exposure directly. Seek out a mage to learn more, as such topics are beyond the scope of this book. Okay, so conclusion. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You are now much more prepared for the cold road ahead. I hope you have found my instruction enlightening, although this author hopes that you never need this book. I advise you to take it on your travels so that you may consult it whenever such need arises. Stay warm, stay dry, stay alert. Right, so that was probably an entire episode right there, because I just read the entire book. I tell you, it's an important part of the mod. It's an important part of the game for myself, and especially for this playthrough. So it kind of had to be done. It's a bit disturbing that like all of my instruments are just completely stolen.